Check out carmarshal.com. The link is in the description. They help support us.
Diplomats fear Tillerson transparency push is linked to Clinton emails. State Department officials worry that an effort to release thousands of records is aimed at tarnishing Hillary Clinton, and pushing more staffers to quit. PINELLAS, November 7, 2017, 5:03 a.m. EST. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson's assignment of as many as several hundred State Department officials to quickly clear a huge backlog of public records requests is being met with deep skepticism by rank-and-file employees. Tillerson says his goal is transparency. But many state workers fear the real reason is political, expediting the public release of thousands of former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's official emails. The staffers also suspect the move, which will reassign many of them from far more substantive duties and has already sparked a union complaint, is meant to force many of them to resign out of frustration with what are essentially clerical positions. The issue spotlights the deepening distrust toward Tillerson at Foggy Bottom, where his attempts to restructure the department, cut its budget and centralize policy making have already hurt morale. But it is drawing applause from conservative groups, which have been pressuring Tillerson to act on a backlog of 13,000 Freedom of Information Act requests, many of them relating to emails and other records from Clinton's tenure. "We haven't understood why there's been a slow walking of releasing records, and we've been quite public in counseling the administration to take an approach of extreme transparency," said Tom Fitton, president of Judicial Watch, a conservative activist group that has sued the Trump administration for more Clinton documents. "It looks like someone's listening," Fitton added. Current and former career diplomats scoff at such talk. They say the real story is Tillerson's contempt for a State Department workforce he sees as bloated, and one that President Donald Trump views as a Democratic stronghold loyal to Clinton, who served as Secretary of State from 2009 to 2013. While many of the people assigned to open records duty are lower-level staffers and interns, some have previously held prestigious posts, helping shape U.S. foreign policy and engaging in high-level diplomacy. "Nothing better illustrates the view of the Trump administration that U.S. diplomats are nothing more than overpaid clerks," said Thomas Countryman, a retired career Foreign Service officer who served as Assistant Secretary of State in the Obama administration. Tillerson announced his decision to ramp up FOIA processing in an October 17 email to state employees. Tillerson has set an ambitious, some say implausible, goal of clearing the backlog by the end of this year. Suspicions around his motivation are being fueled in part by an October 27 CNN report that, citing unnamed sources, said Trump is pushing the State Department to release any remaining Clinton emails it may still have, and that the president had asked Tillerson to clear the department's backlog of unfulfilled records requests. According to Judicial Watch, the State Department has yet to process about 40,000 pages of at least 72,000 records that contain Clinton emails. However, State Department officials have indicated they believe that many of those still unreleased documents are duplicates of information already shared with the public. Recent waves of releases of Clinton-related records have yielded little fresh material. Tillerson's email made no mention of Clinton, Trump's Democratic rival in the 2016 presidential election. But many of the outstanding open records requests are related to her tenure as Secretary of State and have become a subject of intense interest among conservative activists who say the Trump administration hasn't done enough to act on them. There has been no substantial change whatsoever in the Rex Tillerson State Department or the Jeff Sessions Justice Department about Mrs. Clinton's emails, legal analyst Andrew Napolitano told Fox Business Network in August. Rex Tillerson is pictured. AP photo. Foreign policy. Leaked document shows Tillerson power play. PINELLAS. Tillerson's email said the department's FOIA backlog stretches back roughly a decade and would take at least 2 years to clear without more resources. To cut that time, the department will commit more people to open records duty and streamline the process so as to move toward a goal of a more responsive, more accountable, and more transparent State Department, Tillerson wrote. Tillerson did not say how many state officials would be reassigned, but sources familiar with the situation say hundreds of state staffers will be affected, either part-time or full-time, because every bureau has been told to commit people to review and release records. The sources also said Tillerson is calling for the backlog to be cleared by the end of the year, a goal that may prove impossible. It's a remarkable misuse of resources to advance what is at its core a partisan political aim, one affected state employee said. We all know what's going on. And, of course, we're all unhappy that we're being made a part of it. The State Department's press section did not respond to questions from Politico about whether Tillerson is motivated by a desire to release the Clinton emails, instead issuing a statement largely echoing Tillerson's October 17 memo. But White House spokesman Raj Shah cast Tillerson's open records drive as part of Trump's overall goal to see all government agencies be more transparent. The State Department has already begun work to reduce one of the worst backlogs in the federal government, and the administration has issued guidance instructing all agencies to increase efficiency and reduce FOIA backlogs, Shah wrote in an email. This is the people's government, and decades of waiting for records the government is obligated to produce is no longer acceptable. Government watchdogs, however, say they've seen no signs of similar initiatives at other departments and agencies. In particular, there has been no comparable involvement by an agency head like Secretary Tillerson in the FOIA process lately, said Stephen Aftergood, director of the Federation of American Scientists Project on Government Secrecy. But the backlog at state is particularly large, driven in part by a focus on former Secretary Clinton and her tenure in the department. The State Department is a favorite target of open records requests from journalists as well as activist organizations, and past secretaries of state have struggled to contain the mushrooming requests. The demand for Clinton's emails, sparked by revelations in 2015 that she had used a private server while Secretary of State, shed an especially harsh light on state's sluggish record release process. John Kerry, Tillerson's predecessor as Secretary of State, named a transparency coordinator to try to speed things up. Kerry's FOIA surge called for the addition of 50 reviewers and administrative staff. Many of the reviewers were retired Foreign Service officers brought back on board to help out. Moira Whelan, who served as a deputy assistant secretary under Kerry, downplayed diplomats' concerns that Tillerson's FOIA push is an anti-Clinton drive. If more right-wing groups are FOIAing than left-wing groups, that is what it is. It's FOIA, it's a system for everyone, she said. It doesn't matter what the motivation is. Any secretary should try to make it a priority. Still, a State Department official familiar with the situation told Politico that the initiative is causing panic in some managers as well as Foreign Service officers because human resources needs to pull bodies to the FOIA office. Competition for other assignments also has intensified as people try to avoid being FOIA'd. Tillerson's FOIA push also is leading many employees, who hail from both the civil service and the Foreign Service, to consider quitting the State Department altogether. That may help Tillerson fulfill another goal, trimming state's headcount. The Secretary has said he wants to cut at least 2,300 positions through a combination of buyouts and attrition. The department's press office did not respond to a request for information about how close Tillerson is to achieving that goal. The State Department has 75,000 employees across the world. Tillerson also has moved to shut down more than 30 special envoy offices, including that of the Transparency Coordinator, and staffers from some of those offices may be shifted over to FOIA duty. Donald Trump is pictured. Getty Images. White House. Trump's push for inquiries challenges Justice Department independence. By Darren Samuelson. In the wake of Tillerson's email, representatives with the American Federation of Government Employees have filed a complaint on behalf of civil servants being given open records duties at state. A union official said the complaint, lodged with the Federal Labor Relations Authority, requests an investigation into whether the department is violating labor laws by changing people's working conditions without negotiating with the union. Tillerson's push to clear the FOIA backlog is in some ways fitting with his professional background. As a former CEO of ExxonMobil, Tillerson has long been interested in organizational challenges. And, even as the US faces major diplomatic tests, such as how to deal with North Korea's nuclear program and counter Iran's moves in the Middle East, Tillerson has said the most important thing he can do is reshape the State Department to be more effective and efficient. On the other hand, Tillerson's critics note, ExxonMobil was not known for being transparent under Tillerson. And since taking over as secretary in February, Tillerson has largely avoided the spotlight. He also has centralized decision-making to himself and a handful of aides to such a degree that much of the department's rank and file feels sidelined. Josh Gerstein contributed to this report.
So often I get questions from people in Washington, whether they're in the mainstream media or they're part of the Democratic Party, or they just live and breathe in Washington and New York as well. Why do you guys think that Hillary Clinton is corrupt or has any kind of problems? I don't get it. Why does the country say that? Why are her poll numbers not so great? I don't get it. The reason they don't get it is because they're in the same bubble as she is. They're in the same culture as she is. They're in the same class as she is. So to them, they genuinely like Hillary Clinton. They roughly know her. They know her team. They work with her team. They are all in the same circle. So they don't get it. So that's why when I made my prediction that Hillary Clinton would win, but by a razor-thin margin, and I've been saying this election is going to be super close from months ago, right after the Democratic Convention, when I was on ABC This Week, I said, at that point, and they said not at the end, but at that point, where do you stand? At that point, I thought Trump had a slight advantage. But I've always thought, and I've always told you guys, for as long as we've known who the two candidates are, that this was going to be a razor-thin election. The reason I think that is because I know that Hillary Clinton's support in the country is super soft. People do not like her. That's not my anecdotal evidence. That's not the cocktail circuit. Those are polls. She's the second most disliked candidate in American history. She's lucky to be running against the most unpopular candidate in American history as long as we've had polling. But you think that that's just that American people are wrong? And yes, in Washington they think that, the American people sitting there in Ohio and Florida, they don't know what they're doing. The uneducated masses. No, Hillary's great. If they just had more education, they'd know and like her as much as we do. No, they're not wrong. Now, apparently you don't understand, so I'm going to explain it to you, okay? So, Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton together have taken over $3 billion in terms of direct salaries through speeches, etc., from multinational corporations and banks. They've also taken campaign donations, independent expenditures, and money to the Clinton Foundation. When you put all that together for their career over the last 40 years, they've taken $3 billion. Now you say, hey, 40 years is a long time, and one of those is a charity. Yes, but it's not $3 million. It's $3 billion. And the Clintons themselves are worth at least $150 million. Now, you in Washington find that perfectly normal. The rest of the country goes, somebody's going to want something in return for that $3 billion. You know why? Because it's not because they're stupid. It's not because they're local yokels. No, it's because they have normal common sense. Somebody gives you that much money, they want something in return. Everybody outside of Washington and New York knows that. You in Washington and New York, you also know that, but you've forgotten it. Very conveniently forgotten it. Now then, folks in the establishment say, well, I don't get it. She's not the most corrupt candidate. That's true, she's not. I can name you dozens of politicians that are more corrupt, both on the Republican and Democratic side, people who've taken literal bribes, and then people who work for their donors even more enthusiastically. John Boehner would literally hand out checks for the tobacco industry in the middle of a vote on the tobacco industry, on the floor of the House. He'd be like, here's your check, here's your check. He's incredibly corrupt. And I can list you literally hundreds of other politicians that are that corrupt. So why pick on poor Hillary Clinton? Because even though she might not be the most corrupt, she is a symbol of that corruption. Get it through your head, because you don't get it. Because here she is, she's a living embodiment of the establishment, the status quo, this system that the whole country believes has been corrupted. Over 90% of Americans believe that money corrupts politics. And Dave, and look, this is one measure, and by this measure, there's an argument for the Clintons being the most corrupt. They've taken the most amount of money, $3 billion. You can say until you're blue in the face, but that's not fair. Some of it went to charity. And boy, those speeches were fantastic. And I would have paid $225,000 for those speeches too. Yeah, maybe. But not a lot of people are buying that. Of course they want something in return. There's a story out from the Podesta emails about how companies pay into the Clinton Foundation and give direct money to the Clintons, Bill Clinton, for speaking so that they can get an audience with Hillary Clinton because they've got important cases, billions of dollars in cases in front of the U.S. government. We see the corruption. You have purposely chosen in Washington and New York, because you're part of the establishment, not to see that corruption. But the rest of us see it clear as day. Now, that doesn't mean she's worse than Donald Trump. I have argued the opposite. But just because she's not as bad as Mussolini doesn't make her an angel. Get it through your thick head. The American people see the problems with Hillary Clinton. So, why are they so upset, the American people? Because they're right. The system has been rigged. We live in a Walmart economy where the guys who used to have some degree of, respect in their jobs and in their lives, and they'd go out and they'd work on an assembly line or a great number of other jobs. Now, everybody's working minimum wage and God, it kills them, but they got to go get food stamps. And yeah, they're blaming the wrong people for the problems. Some of them are Democrats, some of them are Republicans, but they're getting crushed out there. Why? Well, those multinational corporations gave billions of dollars to politicians. And in return, they got lower taxes. They got to offshore all their tax burdens. So, quote unquote, bad companies, companies that a lot of liberals don't like ExxonMobil, but also quote unquote good companies, Apple. I like Apple, I got an iPhone. But I don't like that they hide billions of dollars of their money offshore, and they do. Why? Because they know that they pay off the politicians, and every once in a while, instead of paying 35% in taxes, the politicians make a deal and they pay 5% in taxes for their tax holiday. That's how they crush us. That is how you get income inequality. The minimum wage hasn't moved in years upon years upon years. We're arguing whether it should be $15. In federal minimum wage is right now $7.25. That's what creates this crushing economy. Yeah, you might have a job, but it ain't a good one. It's not one you're excited about. It's not one you're proud of. It's not one that you want to pass on to your kids. It's real. And Hillary Clinton is the embodiment of that corrupt system. And you wonder why her support is so soft. You wonder why a week out from the election, she's now tied or losing to Donald Trump. That's why. That's why. Open your eyes. We've been on the Young Turks, on this show, we've been trying to get you to open your eyes for now over a year through this entire election process. It wasn't so that we could brag about being right. It's that so you can get on the right path so that we don't have a monster like Donald Trump winning. But you can't see straight. You can't see straight. No, I don't see the corruption. I don't see it. You guys are all being unfair. Hillary's great. Why can't you guys see that she's great? She's not great. The American people don't think that. They think she is part, not in whole, not solely responsible, nowhere near it, but part of that systemic corruption. So when you talk about that overall, the system, it is not one person. The Clintons didn't fix it by themselves. My God, the Republicans, the guys who claim that they're against crony capitalism, they mastered the art of crony capitalism. Almost everything they do is in service of the donors. The way that Scott Walker will follow orders of his donors to a T is humiliating. It's embarrassing. And I can go down the list, Paul Ryan, Chris Christie, you name it, all of them giving millions, sometimes billions of dollars in favors to their donors. The way that Ted Cruz grovels to the Mercers. Oh, I've got principles. I'm not going to endorse Donald Trump. The guys who gave him $13 million, the Mercer family goes, you endorse him. He goes, yes, sir, absolutely, sir. And he endorses them. I know they're all corrupt. But yes, Hillary's part of that. Yes, it takes a village. It takes a village to do that kind of systemic corruption. But she's perceived by a lot of Americans as the mayor of that village. And the reason you can't see that if you live in Washington or New York and you're part of the establishment is because it's your village. You're in that village. And I'm here to tell you that you've got it all wrong. Hillary Clinton is an enormously weak candidate because of all the things that I just outlined here. Now, there's a week left. I don't know that there's much you could do about it. We warned you 1,000 times. We didn't warn you because we wanted all of you guys to be in trouble and for the system to crash overnight. We don't want to burn down the media. Are you crazy? We're not right-wingers. We want to help the media get better so you don't play he said, she said games. I don't want the economy to crash. I want the economy to get better. We warned you about all that, not because we were against you, but because we thought we could make this country better by fixing that corrupt system, and we're going to. No matter who wins, we're going to fight not just as hard, twice as hard, whether it's Trump or Clinton. And we're not going to stop until we win. We will beat this establishment because it is crushing the American people. But all this also done so that a monster, borderline fascist like Trump doesn't get in charge. Because if you don't fix the underlying problem, you're going to get a populist who wins. The only question is it a populist on the left or a populist on the right? And what you have enabled is a monster like Trump to pretend to be a populist from the right and is now this close to winning and becoming the most powerful man on earth. We warned you. Turn around, for God's sake, turn around. That doesn't mean you don't vote for Hillary Clinton today. That certainly doesn't mean you vote for Donald Trump. I'm talking about after the election. There's only a week left now to the election. There's not much you can do. She can't reposition herself now, nor would I want her to. It would be utterly false, just like everything else. And you see it in the Podesta emails. She says, I have a private face and a public face. And those things, my positions oftentimes are not the same publicly and privately. We know it. I read the emails. You even know it. You just don't want to acknowledge it. But after the election is over, if she wins by that razor-thin margin, and you think, oh, problem averted, we're done with it. We're done. We don't need this anymore. Now the establishment's back in charge. Let's keep giving those tax breaks to the incredibly rich and the multinational corporations and to our donors and just call it normal. Hey, it's just normal. What are you guys getting all upset over? Well, next time, you'll have a monster like Trump, but he won't be so stupid. And then he might not only win, but go further than that, bring in majorities with him and really gain control. For God's sake, turn around because it's the right thing to do. Plus, if you don't, you're going to get slaughtered. If it isn't a week from now, I guarantee you it'll be 4 years from now. You power the Young Turks. We do this all through membership. tytnetwork.com/join. Let's build the media that we can believe in.
Hey Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County COPWATCH, and I found that I had to make a change this ending on my videos, letting you know about the channel and fair use laws, you know, how we can report on other people's reporting and how it's good, how it's bad, etc. But you guys can look it up yourself. It is legal. It's in there. But like I've told you before, that I've been cut off from making money on YouTube for 4 years. It's really weird, bizarre, but they cut the money off, but they said you can keep the channel, and now YouTube makes all the money. And if you get bored, plug it into Social Blade website, and you'll see that they are making a huge amount off the site. Right now it's at 63 million views, 53,000 subscribers, almost 3 million views a month. You know, trying to wake people up, and I make nothing. In fact, I got a customer that's ex-congressman. He said if I could ever find a lawyer, sue YouTube on it. But because this is nuts, 4 hours a day, and to save America. You know, but at the same time, it's worth it. Look at what our founding fathers did. They died for this country. So, but getting back to the money part, this is why I'm redoing the video. Is my dream of everyone giving $1, and it's going to be $53,000 a year, or if they did Patreon, which you know, can be monthly. That is not working. That'd be great if it did. Nothing is perfect. And I appreciate the people that do donate, you know, what they can on PayPal. And there again, I'm letting you guys know that is not much. Is, you know, monthly is, oh my god. So anyways, yes, you cannot live on it. It's very, very, very low amount. But the dollar things, I do appreciate that. But when I first said everybody give $1, that's not working. I'm just letting you guys know it's, yeah, that dream, everybody gives $1, 53,000 subscribers, it's not working. So yes, if you can give more than that, you know, I'd appreciate it. Like I said, you know, I'm in a unique situation where, you know what, we're already debt free, and I'm not rich, but with the little business that we have, I am able to do what I am able to do 45 hours a day, you know, letting you guys know what's going on. In 4 years, I've did the whole thing myself, 12,000 videos on there. I literally get emails where people are like, holy crap, I never knew it was this bad. And it is this bad, and it's getting worse every day because we have the internet, we have cell phones, we have cameras everywhere now, and it's just disgusting what's going on. And then, as you guys know too, now we got Trump, we got Jeff Sessions doing a war on drugs, and now he wants to go after the forfeiture laws again. It's just unfreaking real. So if you can give more than that, that dream of everybody giving $1, yeah, that old video, that's not working. They're not. They're just not. So anyways, if you can give more than that, that dream is not working. Hardly anybody is giving. There you go. So that's why I'm remaking the video. If you can give more than that, that would be great. And there again, like I said, the Patreon's there. There is some people on there that are starting to give, but there again, it's very, very low. And like I said, I don't want to get rich off of that. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing because, you know, it's still so stinking corrupt. It's not even funny. My court case that I'm going to be paying out of my pocket myself with Charlotte County's coming up. They illegally looked me up and then posted all my information on LEOAFFAIRS website. They basically doxed me, however you want to say that. I forget what the word is, and they outed me, man. And that information on that site went out to 500 sheriffs, deputies, people that work at the jail, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, it is very, very scary, but we're going to do a federal case, 1983 case, violating freedom of speech. We have 17 cameras in the house now. We got 2 cameras in the car. I always carry a camera plus a cell phone. A lot of people are highly recommending I get a vest now. If I could, if the wife would let me, I would run for sheriff. We are trying to push the thing nationwide right now. Where just to mix it up and to get the topics out there is register to run for sheriff, NPA, no party affiliation, as a write-in, and that is completely free, and you can participate in the elections. And there's a lot of stuff. We got a guy, James McLinnis in Pinellas County, Tampa, who almost won. He experienced the corruption himself. The story is unbelievable. Look him up. It's mind-blowing what they did. It pissed him off. He is very, very smart. He has way more money than I did. He ran for sheriff at the last 3 months last year in 2016 and almost won. He got all of the black vote. And the reason why he did that is because he ran in, I will not bust, we're in Florida, I will not bust anybody for weed anymore unless it's an ungodly huge amount, like pounds. And then he also ran in, no more victimless crimes, no more of this freaking road pirate bull crap. And then he was going to cut the budget by 30%. And when you think about that, you can. If you stop the road pirates, you can get rid of a bunch of people. Gone. So, the wife has been saying, yes, I can, yes, I can't. So I don't know. We're trying to find somebody that can do it because I am busy doing this anyways. But, so I'm making a video, like I said, that $1 a month from everybody, you know, for 53,000 subscribers, that is not working. I'm just letting you guys know. Absolutely give way more than $1 a month. If you can, I appreciate anything. By the way, remember too, when you give that, PayPal takes like freaking 15 to 20%, so it's even worse than that. But, and there again, like I'm letting you guys know, it's way, what I get is very, very low. Appreciate it, but it is very, very low. Can't live on it. I'm just, you know, I'm working, and that's what I'm working on. And that court case is going to cost a buttload of money. That's federal court. Just the filing fees and the depositions that we're going to be doing with this corrupt cop. So there's another reason to give. We are going to be doing a deposition with this very corrupt. He was in a drug squad. He is a bad guy. He's on steroids. We heard steroids are rampant here. That's why their attitude is so bad. and we are going to get him on video, and it will be on YouTube. So that case alone is $5,000 just to bring it to court, and that's my money out of my pocket. So there's another reason to give, and give way more than $1 if you can. So keep that in mind. This is the new video, and I see, God, I talk a lot. It's already 7 minutes, but had to make it just to let you know the $1 a month from everybody is not working. They're not doing it. So if you can give more than that, please. So thanks. Keep it up. Share, like, subscribe, tell your friends, send me your videos on corruption, and I'll post it.